This is Bob Bro. Welcome to the Best Old Time Radio podcast. And right now we're going to do a grab bag, an old time radio grab bag. That's where I go into my files and just pull out shows that don't fit under the normal categories that we play. And they're a lot of fun. Now, I don't do a lot of research on these. I don't edit out the commercials. I do try to make the sound as good as they possibly can. But I don't give a lot of comments before or after the shows. We just listen to them as they come out of the grab bag. So this week, what we have is an episode of Dimension X. Then we're going to follow that up with a Abbott and Costello show. Then an episode of Information, Please. And we're going to end up with a really spooky, mysterious traveler. So it's a great lineup this week, and I hope you enjoy it. So make yourself comfortable, because we're going to get started in just a minute. Okay, to get us started, we are going to listen to an episode of Dimension X that was first broadcast on April 22nd, 1950, and it's entitled The Barnhouse Effect.
Adventures in time and space, told in future tense. Dimension X, 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 X. The mind of man is still an unprobed field. Within it lie many mysteries still unsolved. But there are men today, psychologists now experimenting with telepathy, hypnosis, thought transference, who believe that in the future we may discover the existence of a force of the mind more powerful than any force the world has ever known. We go ahead now in time some 10 years, and in space to the campus of a small eastern college. The hour is late, and in one of the dark college buildings, two men stand in front of a door that bears the name Professor Arthur Barnhouse, Psychology.
Well, here you are, Clinton.
Thank you, Major.
Here are the keys to the professor's desk and files. I guess you inherit everything now. You might as well dictate a full report while everything's still fresh in your mind. I'll wait and see you home.
Oh, no, that isn't necessary. I'll be all right.
You sure? After what's happened tonight, we wouldn't want you to have an accident, too.
Major, after what happened tonight, I have a hunch the whole world is ripe for an accident.
I'm afraid you're right, Clinton. Well, good night.
Good night. Pull yourself together, Buster. Easy does it. August 21st, 1960. Restricted report from George Clinton to the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, the FBI, National Security Board, etc., etc., etc. Subject, the so-called Barnhouse effect, and Professor Arthur Barnhouse, who discovered it. I first met the professor 2 years ago in the fall of 1958. He was a professor of psychology here at Wilton College, and I was here on an instructor's fellowship in the psych department. They assigned me to be Barnhouse's assistant, and he needed one. He hardly ever remembered to go to a class, and he didn't seem to do anything else either. For 3 months, I watched him sitting at the desk here in his study. He'd either stare at nothing for hours or fall asleep, nodding over his mess of papers. I couldn't understand it, and it was none of my business. But one day, I thought I'd better give him a shake.
What? What?
I said it's 2:15, Professor. Don't you want to go to your 2 o'clock class?
Don't you want to mind your own business?
I beg your pardon.
Sorry, Clinton. Forgive me. I don't know what gets into me. Forget the class. The kids would rather be outdoors anyway.
Okay, Professor. In that case, I'm sorry I woke you up.
It's all right. I just can't seem to get my sleeping done at night. Clinton, what do you know about the international situation?
Well, I'm no political scientist, if that's what you mean. I read the papers when I have time.
Well, that's the way I've always been. Lately, I've had to look into it. I stay up nights looking into it.
Professor, I don't want you to take this personally or anything, but... Well, sir, I wonder if you'd mind if I asked to be transferred.
You mean you'd rather work with somebody else in the department?
Oh, no, sir, it's not that. I think maybe there's a chance for a psychologist to work on that government project.
Government project? Oh, yes, that army thing.
Yes, sir. They're trying to develop robot pilots for the new fighter rockets so they'll be expendable.
Oh, yes. Something else designed to replace men.
Yes, sir, and you know it's a funny thing. The robots work just like human brains. They get overworked or overloaded or something, and they have nervous breakdowns. Now, if I could only find out what drives those electronic brains crazy, why, I'd feel
Clinton,
that I was...
if you want to study a brain that's going crazy, never mind the robots. You can go to work on me.
What are you talking about, sir?
I don't know. I'm either crazy as a bedbug or a... Clinton, I wish you'd help me find out.
Are you serious, Professor?
I never was more serious in my life. I'm afraid I'm going out of my mind.
But why? What makes you think so?
This is what makes me think I'm crazy.
Those dice?
Clinton, do you know what the odds are against my rolling a 7?
Oh, about 5 or 6 to 1.
Watch. 7. Now, what are the odds against my rolling it again?
Twice in a row? Plenty. About 100 to 1, I'd say.
Watch.
Professor, you're hotter than a $2 pistol.
It's funny. That's what they said 8 years ago when I first discovered this.
Discovered what?
This force of the mind. I call it dynamo-psychism.
You mean you shove those dice around just by thinking about it?
People have always thought there could be a force of the mind. You know that. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've learned to control it.
Yeah? How did you happen to find out about this, Professor?
Well, it was about 10 years ago, back in 1948. I made the mistake of going to a psychologist's convention, and in order not to appear unsocial, I happened to find myself, for the first and only time in my life, in a dice game.
What happened?
I didn't have the faintest idea what was expected of me, and someone told me to roll 7s. So I did. 10 of them.
I'll bet you weren't asked back into that game.
That night, in my room, I realized that it simply couldn't have been an accident, Clinton. I tried to reconstruct the exact scene, the position of my body, and finally, the thoughts in my mind. And that was what did it. I remembered what had been my train of thought, and I proceeded to roll 7s, not 10 consecutive times, but 50.
Brother, there it is again. Professor, can you do anything else? I mean, besides shove dice around?
You see that inkwell on my desk?
Sure.
Watch it. Don't take your eyes off it. If nothing happens, say so, and I shall go quietly, even happily, to the nearest sanitarium.
Okay, Professor, shoot. Hey, why, it just blew up.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to splash ink on your suit.
Well, that's okay, Professor. What was that funny noise?
Oh, that? The dynamo psychic waves are a little like ultra-high frequency waves. Sometimes, when I turn on the power, they create a kind of static.
Listen, Professor, how much power have you got? Could you blow up anything, well, you know, big?
I could flatten the Great Wall of China.
Boy, you'll make the helio-oxygen bomb look sick.
That's what scares me, Clinton. The thought that maybe I could use this power to save the world. Clinton, you've got to help me.
Who, me? Professor, when it comes to international relations, I don't know from where. You'd better get in touch with the State Department.
State Department? Yes, they'd be the ones, wouldn't they? Well, you probably want to be getting home now. I'll see you to the door. I could use a breath of fresh air.
Okay, Professor. You better stop brooding about this. You get somebody else to do your worrying for you.
Yes, you're right. I have been brooding, wondering what to do. Just sitting and staring endlessly at that awful monstrosity across the way.
You mean the old bell tower?
Yes, I've gotten so I can't stand the sight of it anymore.
Professor! Professor, look, what... Well, there's nothing left but a pile of rubble.
Oh, my, I didn't really mean to do that. Well, you see, Clinton, it's got to the point where my lightest whim is more dangerous than a blockbuster.
Professor, you get in and write that letter to the State Department right now. You packed too much of a wallop. Professor Barnhouse mailed his letter, and things happened fast. The long arm of the Army reached out, and within 5 days, the two of us were deposited in an old mansion in Virginia, surrounded with a barbed wire fence and 20 guards, and labeled top secret. As soon as they'd seen a couple of small demonstrations, they set up a big test of dynamo psychism, and the professor was a very important guy. You could see him getting more unhappy every day.
General Barker, I've got to talk to you.
Just a minute, Professor. We're cleaning up the last details in Operation Brainwave. We'll roll at 1400 hours tomorrow.
At 1400 what?
2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. The robot-controlled fighter rockets will take off at exactly 1400 minus 10 and appear over the target at 1400. Watching from here over the video screen, you will then try to knock all 20 of them out of the sky. Think you can do it?
Of course I can do it.
Fine. And we've taken care of everything.
Everything except that you neglected to ask me if I wanted to do it. I don't. This whole thing strikes me as childish and insanely expensive.
We'll decide about that.
But what's the good of it? I wouldn't mind acting as a defense weapon if it were necessary. But I can make all wars and armaments unnecessary. I could give every nation what it needs. I could move mountains, build roads, dig irrigation canals. I have a technique which costs nothing and can do immense good. You're spending millions to prove that it can do immense damage. It doesn't make sense.
You know something, General? He's right.
Of course I'm right. I want you to send me and Clinton back to Wilton College. Right away.
That's quite impossible, Professor. This operation has gone too far to be called off now.
Yes, but...
Even if we wanted to call it off. If your dynamo psychism really works, you're apt to be the key to our entire defense setup.
But listen...
You'll have to excuse me now. Major Cuthrell and I have to double-check the confidential list of the observers on this end. Have you got it, Major?
Yes, General. It's right here. Alberts, Barker, Bernstein, Carter, Clinton, Cuthrell, Holbrook, Lawrence, Stein, Williams.
Check. I guess that includes everybody of importance.
What about me?
What? Oh, that's taken for granted, Professor.
Thanks.
1400 hours. Will you be ready?
I'll be ready. And now, if someone will wind the restricted clock and put the confidential cat out, I'm going to bed.
YDR to brainwave control. Observation plane to brainwave control. Come in, please.
That's McKinley in the observation plane. Cut me in. Hello, McKinley. Reading you clear on the speaker. Everything all right?
All okay, General. Takeoff uneventful. Fighter rockets now flying on course in perfect formation. Altitude 5,000 feet. Airspeed 865. Visibility unlimited. Are you tracking us?
We've got you on radar. Haven't picked you up on the video screen yet. What's your estimated time of arrival over at the target?
ETA, 2 minutes.
Check. Remember, McKinley, the observation plane is not to enter the target range. Veer off and circle at the 10-mile limit. Bring the rockets overhead by remote control.
Check. Observation signing off.
1 minute, 45 seconds to go, Professor Barnhouse. Are you in good shape?
I'm all right, General.
Good. You can all take our places in front of the video screen now. You sit here, Professor, in the center. Major Cuthrell, will you turn on the video screen?
Right, General. Nothing yet. Just empty sky. Hold it.